Orleans, the shooting in a Pittsburgh suburb where 2 people were killed, 3 others critically wounded yesterday. We're going to talk just ahead to a woman who survived that ordeal, was taken hostage. But first, the latest on suspect Ronald Taylor from ABC's Bob Jameson.
The 39-year-old Taylor was led from the office building where he surrendered after almost 2 hours of negotiations with police. He told authorities he had intended to commit suicide. Police said Taylor first set fire to his apartment and then shot a maintenance worker in the building. Next, he went to a nearby Burger King, shooting a patron. Then he moved next door to a McDonald's and opened fire on the lunchtime crowd, hitting 3 people and stopping long enough to reload his .22 caliber pistol. Police converged on the scene, and Taylor fired twice at the officers. Fleeing, he came face-to-face with this woman.
And he said, well, I'm not going to hurt any black people. I'm just out to kill all white people. That's exactly what he said.
Then it was to the office building, which houses child and senior daycare centers. As 3 dozen children, 6 weeks to 6 months old, were safely evacuated, frantic parents arrived at the scene.
And I just ran out the school to come over here to see if they were all right. I was just so worried. I thought my baby was going to die. I didn't know what was going on.
SWAT teams evacuated dozens from the senior center. Before reaching safety, 3 of the nurses had a frightening encounter with the gunman.
And he took the 3 of us in the back and he said he has 1 bullet left, and which one of you 3 should I use it on?
Bob Jameson, ABC News, Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania.
Well, joining us now from Pittsburgh is that nurse, Joyce Ambrose. She was among the hostages yesterday, and Ms. Ambrose, it is so good to see you and to see you safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
As I understand it, he was not angry when he came into storming through the doors in your offices. He was quiet?
He was angry about something, but in a calm way. He wasn't raging or cursing or anything like that. He seemed sort of subdued at first. I encountered the other 2 employees were in the front office, and I had come out of my office that was in the back of the area, and we were getting ready for lunch, and thankfully we had no patients there. They had all just left.
And another thing I understand he said right away to you is that he had shot people.
Well, at first, when he told us to get going, we didn't see the gun, and then he said, you don't know how many people I've just shot. And I have 1 bullet left, and I'm going to use it on you guys. Which one of you should it be? And he told us to get walking. And we were walking and encountered another employee, Barb, who's black, and he looked at her and said, not you, sister, you can go. And he left her go, and he proceeded to take us back the hallway towards the examining rooms.
And there was one time you almost panicked, right? The second time he put the gun toward you. What were the thoughts that were going through your head?
What went through my head first was leaving my family and realizing that I could die at this point, and thinking with my faith that there was a better place I might be going to, where you don't have to worry about 6-year-olds shooting each other or people pulling guns on people. And that was my stability, and I did not panic. I actually asked him if there was something wrong or something we could help him with, if he was one of our patients, trying to talk to him. He totally ignored me and then proceeded to pick on one of the 3 of us that probably had the most terror on her face. And at that point, he raised the gun towards her head and said, you look like a smart white bitch. And he grabbed her wrist, and then he said, no, I think I'll terrorize you for a while. But as fast as he did that, that's as fast as he dropped her wrist, and he bolted towards the exam room, where he semi-closed the door, poked his head around, and said, when you open this door, I'll be gone.
And he was also pointing the gun toward his head at some point?
Right, and I really thought that he was going to commit suicide at that point. But as fast as he had done that, he wasn't in there 2 seconds, and he came back out again, and then headed towards the 2 physicians that were in the back, where we also have a lunch break room, and we had other employees there and a volunteer. And he raised the gun and pointed it right at Dr. Freeman before he took off down the hall, muttering to himself with the gun again at his head. But I didn't stay around at that point to see anything. I realized there wasn't anything else I could do. The people had been warned, and I ran out the front to the one office, which was a little secluded, where our office manager is, and told him to get out. And I proceeded out into the lobby and went upstairs to call 911, having no idea that this man had killed and that there were units surrounding our place. And when I got the 911 dispatcher, he told us how to proceed out the building through the front door, and we did that.
And when you got out into the parking lot, it was when it finally hit you what had happened?
Well, yes, there were many police officers there, and then shortly after that, the SWAT team arrived with their shields and their helmets, and I think that was as frightening as what had just happened. And I realized when they told us that he had shot at McDonald's, and realized the magnitude of what was going on. And I do want to say that the police were very wonderful and competent, and people have always given policemen a lot of times bad raps, but you know, they put their life on the line, and they really did a good job, and they were good to us too.
And when you got home and talked to your girls, your daughters, what did you say to them?
Well, I was telling them that my main thing was to think that they live in this world, and they've got many more years than I left in it, and if things get any worse, I fear for them. And I'm just so glad that I'm still here with them, and they were glad, obviously, to have me, but I am worried about them and the future of this world, the way it seems to be turning.
Miss Ambrose, again, we cannot imagine what all of you went through yesterday, and we're so grateful for you this morning being here, and as we say, being safe. We mean that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's 15 minutes past, Charlie.